Well, howdy, comic book collectors community. This is Ranger Sly doing his first YouTube video ever, so please bear with me. And I wanted to make my first video as a homage or a big thank you to a guy well known in the comic book community on YouTube. That is Nighttiger, of course, as you can see on the title here. Nighttiger is a very generous guy. He sends AOKs to a lot of people, makes trades, and do a ton of great videos. He's a real good bargain hunter, and he's become a specialist among us about the Golden Age. He collects Golden Age, and he often pays very little for the amazing issues he gets. So anyway, the first time he sent me an AOK was maybe 2 years ago, a year and a half. I have discovered his channel and I had commented a few times, and he liked my comments, so he wanted to send me some books. And back then I didn't know at all what AOKs were, so he sent me a pack of books. And back then he didn't know me, didn't know my taste, so he sent a package blindly. And yeah, so let's take a look at what he first sent me. So the first book, it's the Deadman miniseries, issue number 1, by Andrew Elfer, who was more known as an editor back then. He wrote a few things. He wrote the Shadow comic books in the 80s or 90s, I think. And the art is by the great Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. So very reminiscent of Neil Adams' work on Deadman. I already have this miniseries for a long time. I bought it when it first came out off the racks. But I think this is a better grade than the one I have. Next up is Marvel Comics Presents number 57. It's a Wolverine and Hulk cover, which is always cool. And the cover is by Dale Keown, who was... I don't remember if he was doing that at the time of this cover, but he was drawing the Incredible Hulk for a long time, with Peter David writing his long run on the Hulk. So, and I like this run very much, so I don't have this issue. So cool. Now the next two, I'm not into modern comics at all. I don't like most new characters that come out in comic books. But then again, Nighttiger didn't know that. So he sent me this, which is one of those, I'm not sure it's going to show on the camera, but it's one of those lenticular cover. It's Deadpool number 287, which is a ridiculous number for such a new character, but hey. And of course it's an homage to the cover to Amazing Spider-Man 129 by the great Gil Kane. And I was an avid reader of Spider-Man as a kid, and I remember this issue very well, the first appearance of Punisher. It's a cool cover. I'm happy to have it in my collection. Probably the only Deadpool I'll have in my collection too. The other one is another modern character. It's Venom. This will be the first Venom comic book in my collection. I don't like that character at all. But it's from Michael, Nighttiger, so for me it's special. And yeah. And the last one I'm going to show you, I'm not sure if it was in that first package, but I think so. It's Thrilling Comics number 77. Thrilling Comics had a long run, and Westerns were the focus of this series later on in the last 10 or 12 issues, I think. Before that, it was a mix of science fiction, a lot of Jungle Girl and Jungle Adventures and all that. And this comic book is not in the best of shape. It's a very nice reader copy, still attached and everything. It's a bit dirtier. It's a lot of creases. So it's probably a good plus, I would say. But even in this condition, I've checked on eBay, and this book goes... I saw another copy in worse condition than this one, and it was selling for $80. So yeah, I'm very happy to add this to my collection. I don't think I would have paid $80 for a good copy of any comic book. So yeah, thanks Nighttiger. This is a very welcome addition to my collection. And another plus for this comic book, it's a cover by Alex Schomburg, one of the big star cover artist of the Golden Age. So yeah, very happy with this. The second package Nighttiger sent me, I had sent him an AOK in return of this one, and he was very happy. I tried to put books I knew he liked or he was maybe missing. So he sent me a package with stuff a little more focused this time, mostly Bronze and Silver Age. So here we go. We're gonna do a little travel in time with this second AOK. First up is Luke Cage Power Man number 21. It's from October 1974. It's a 25-cent comic book written by Tony Isabella and with a plot assist by the great Len Wein. And it's drawn by Ron Wilson with inks by Vince Coletta. It has a big subscription crease right in the middle, but I don't care. I'm not a fanatic about condition. This is a cool comic because it puts Power Man versus Power Man. You know, of course, of Luke Cage Power Man, but there was also a Power Man before him who was an Avenger villain in the early issues of the Avengers. So in this issue, the villain Power Man comes to fight Luke Cage for the right to bear the title Power Man. And let's just say the Power Man we know much better keeps his name. Spoiler alert. And next up, we're going back in time to October 1969. And this is the Incredible Hulk 120. And this is you didn't know this when you sent it to me, Michael, but this is a very special cover for me. As a kid, I think it was the first time I saw a Hulk comic book. It was this cover. I might have seen the Hulk before on the TV show, you know, the old animated Marvel superheroes TV shows from the 60s or, yeah, 60s.
What's happening? Hey, you changed! Out of my way, insect!
Anyway, but in comic book form, I know this is probably the first time I saw the Hulk as a comic book character. This is a very cool cover by Herb Trimpe, of course. And he inked himself on this one, and boy, do I wish he had inked himself more often. For me, Herb Trimpe was the ultimate Hulk artist, maybe because he's the one I grew up with. So for me, he's the definitive Hulk artist. Love that Trimpe Hulk. So this is very cool. We're going further back in time with Fantastic Four number 80, and this is another cool one. It's from November 1968. It's from the classic team of Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, and Joe Sinnott on the inks. And it guest stars Wyatt Wingfoot, which is a supporting character I always like in the Fantastic Four. And it features the villain Tomazuma, which I don't know if you'll see it on the camera, is the gray monster in the background. He's not gray on the inside, he's actually very colorful. And this issue is very fun because first it's done in one story. It's not a saga or anything that you need to read many issues to understand the story. This is done in one, and it's a throwback to all these great Atlas era monsters comic books. That I was a big fan of Atlas monsters from the time I could open a comic book as a kid. I love Fing Fang Foom and Goom and all those monsters. So yeah, I didn't even know about this comic book. I don't really collect old Fantastic Fours. So this is a very cool edition. And I will know that it's from Nighttiger because in one of his videos he explained the system with the dots. I think one of the dots is to signal to him that he has read the issue, and the second dot is to show that it was featured in one of his videos. So this is the second time this comic book is featured on a video on YouTube. We're going back now to 1965. We're down to a 12-cent comic book, another issue of Fantastic Four. This is number 41. It's by Stanley, Jack Kirby, and Vince Coletta on the inks. I never liked Vince Coletta on Jack Kirby. He omitted a lot of details. If you look at the background on the comic book here, you'll see it's empty. There's no building. There's nothing. And I'm pretty sure Jack Kirby had drawn stuff in the background, but there's nothing there because Vince Coletta skipped a lot of Kirby details when he inked. So anyway, it's still a classic Fantastic Four, an early one too, number 41. It's still Jack Kirby art and probably a big part of the plot. So yeah. Okay, so we're back. I realized that my camera wasn't filming the top part of the comics I was showing you, so you didn't actually see those 2 dots I was talking about. So, like I said, Nighttiger puts the first dot when he has read the comic book and the second dot when it was featured in a video. So when he has 2 dots, he knows he can file it or give it away. A few of the books he sent me have those 2 dots. So the last book in the second AOK he sent me was this one, Masked Ranger number 3. It's from 1953. It's a Golden Age Western book. Nighttiger knows I love westerns, so it was published bi-monthly by Premiere magazine, a small company I know little about. One thing that we can tell, Masked Ranger was one of the many Lone Ranger clones that were in Western comic books at that time. And strange thing is most of them feature the same color scheme for their costume or uniform. So they were characters like Lone Rider and Masked Raider and so on and so on. So yeah, most people think Lone Ranger, the Lone Ranger always had his blue suit, you know, a full blue suit with a white hat. But actually in the comic books, at least when he started, he wore a red shirt like the Masked Ranger here. So yeah, he looks exactly like the original Lone Ranger in the comic book. So red shirt, blue pants, white hat, and black mask. Another interesting feature about this book, it features, it says right here, featuring the Crimson Avenger. Some of you may know that Crimson Avenger was also the name of a pulp era mask crusader from DC in the Golden Age. He was like a shadow clone, so another clone, with a long coat or cape with a hat and a mask and 2 45s dealing justice. So, but here Crimson Avengers is a Native American character. So that's it for the second AOK. The third AOK he sent me was when, I think it was Lady Fantastic who sent him an AOK to Nighttiger. And among those comic books she sent, I think it was Lady, there were 2 issues of Strange Tales featuring the Golem. And in the comment of this video, I told Nighttiger that I always wanted to collect those. And Nighttiger said actually that the ones Lady Fantastic sent him were doubles. I don't know if the one she sent him he kept and he gave me as a second copy or whatever. So he was nice enough to say, I'm gonna send them to you. So he sent them to me. This is number 176 of Strange Tales, featuring the Golem. It's from October 1974. It's a John Romita Sr., of course, cover. The interior art is by Tony DeZuniga. And there's also a fun backup story reprint from the Atlas Age. The title of the tales is Short Tales is The Man Who Wouldn't Be Killed, and it's drawn by Jimmy Infantino. And if the name sounds familiar, yes, he was the brother of Carmine Infantino. Strange thing, I don't remember ever seeing Jimmy Infantino in credit for a DC comic book. The only time I saw his name was at Marvel, or Atlas, during the 50s. So yeah, so he sent me this one. And the issue right after that, Strange Tale number 177, with a beautiful Frank Brunner cover. Inside art was still by Tony DeZuniga, and it was inked by a guy named Steve Austin. Yeah, Steve Austin was the name of the $6 million man. Of course, there's Terry Austin, who is one of the best inker in the business. And I know that Adam Austin was the pseudonym of Gene Colan when he was still working at DC on romance stories. And he moved slowly over to Marvel to draw some art, but he changed his name to Adam Austin. But Steve Austin, I never saw that name before. So let me know in the comment if you know anything about that inker, Steve Austin, not the $6 million man. Also in this comic book, there's also a backup reprint from the Atlas era. It's The Girl from Behind the Glass. It was drawn by J. Scott Pike, who was an amazing artist. He was very good at drawing very pretty girls. The third AOK that Nighttiger sent me was, he called it a fantasy team AOK. So he sent me also this issue of the Eternals number 14. I already have all the Eternals. I have had them for a long time, the full set. This is a fun issue because it's from August 1977, and it features the Hulk robot. Yes, the Hulk that appears on this comic book is not the real Hulk, it's a robot. When Jack Kirby came back to Marvel in the late 70s, he drew mostly new concept and new series like Devil Dinosaur, The Eternals. He also did he came back also to Captain America for a while, but the Eternals and Devil Dinosaur were in a universe of their own, and I think Marvel must have asked Jack Kirby to try to incorporate other Marvel characters into the Eternals, and he did, but I guess he didn't want to go fully Marvel with his own creation, the Eternals, because the only time a Marvel character appear is in this one, while Jack Kirby was still doing the Eternals, of course, and it features a robot and not a real Marvel character. So was the robot inspired by the Hulk TV show or Hulk cartoon? We never know. He also sent me in the third AOK, Tarzan number 228. It's also from 1974. It's one of those all Joe Kubert issue. So Joe Kubert did an amazing run on Tarzan at DC. But by the end of the DC series, he wasn't doing all the pencil all the time. But in the beginning, he did everything. He wrote, I think, he drew the cover, he drew the inside art, and he did a great job at it. And also, this is, even if only the cover was by Joe Kubert, it's a dinosaur cover by Joe Kubert. So how cool is that, eh? And the last issue he sent me was this one, Weird Worlds number 10 from November 1974. This was the last issue of Weird Worlds. It features Howard Chaykin's character Iron Wolf. It was his third appearance, I believe. Before that, the first 7 issues of Weird Worlds were actually a series to feature Edgar Rice Burroughs' character John Carter and also David Innes, I don't know. So they were in the first 7 issues, and then Iron Wolf appeared starting with issues number 8. The cover here is a beautiful cover by Michael Kaluta, but the inside art is by Howard Chaykin. An interesting fact about the title of the series, DC were like obsessed with the word weird at the time. They put weird on many other series. There was of course the series, the horror anthology Weird Mystery Tales. There was also Weird Western Tales that feature Jonah X, and Adventure Comics. The long-running series from DC was called Weird Adventure Comics for a while, back when Spectre was the main feature of Adventure Comics, so they added the word weird in front of Adventure Comics for a little while. And finally, the Humor Comic Plop that was published about the same time was supposed to be called originally Weird Humor, but they changed the name. They decided to go with Plop with exclamation point, and I think it was a better idea. So this is it. I just want to say once again a big thank you to Nighttiger for all the comics he sent me over the last 2 years, and I want to invite all of you to subscribe to his channel. He does some of the best haul videos you can find on YouTube. Lots of Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, and he's a very generous guy. He often does large giveaway. He sends box full of comics, vintage comics books. He also does live shows with other YouTubers. So yeah, if you like comics, you have to subscribe to Nighttiger. So that's it. That was my first video. I hope thank you for those who lasted until the end. I hope this is not my last one. It took a long time to make this one. There's a lot of errors in it. I'm sorry, it was my first one. So yeah, thank you for watching, especially those who watch until the end, and see you next time.